The CEO's laughter echoed across the glass-walled boardroom, sharp and cutting like a blade. 20 executives in tailored suits turned their heads as he leaned back in his leather chair and pointed toward the woman standing quietly near the door. "Since you're already here," he said in a tone dripping with mockery, "why don't we hear the cleaning lady's opinion too?" The room filled with restrained chuckles. But what happened next would leave every single one of them speechless. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of underestimated people rising above doubt, take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share this story with someone who needs inspiration, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that greatness can come from the most unexpected places. Her name was Elena Ramirez. She'd been working as a cleaning attendant in the company for almost 3 years. Every night after the executives left, she wiped down the polished tables, vacuumed the carpets, and emptied trash cans filled with crumpled reports and half-finished ideas. To them, she was invisible, just part of the furniture. But Elena had once dreamed of sitting at that table, not cleaning around it. Years earlier, she had been a promising business student. Numbers made sense to her. Market trends fascinated her. She had studied late into the night while caring for her sick mother. But life can be merciless. When her mother's medical bills piled up and her scholarship fell through, Elena dropped out to work full-time. After her mother passed away, she found herself alone, without a degree, without savings, and with rent due every month. The cleaning job was the only one she could get quickly. Still, she never stopped learning. Each night, after finishing her tasks, she would sit quietly at the far end of the boardroom table, reading the reports left behind. She memorized the company's quarterly losses. She studied competitor strategies. She noticed patterns in their declining sales numbers. She saw what the executives failed to see because they were too busy protecting their egos. And now, in the middle of a tense meeting about falling profits, the CEO had chosen to humiliate her. The company was struggling. A new competitor had entered the market, offering cheaper products with better digital outreach. Investors were growing impatient. The executives had spent 2 hours arguing, blaming departments and proposing recycled ideas that clearly weren't working. When the CEO mocked Elena, he expected silence, maybe embarrassment, maybe a quick apology as she slipped out the door. Instead, something inside her shifted. Her heart pounded so loudly she could hear it in her ears. She knew this moment could cost her job, but she also knew she had been silent for too long in her life. Silent when she left university, silent when people underestimated her, silent when her dreams felt too heavy to carry. Slowly, she stepped forward. Her hands trembled, but her voice did not. She spoke calmly, explaining that the problem wasn't just pricing. The company had ignored its online presence while the competitor invested heavily in digital marketing and customer engagement. She pointed out that their target audience had shifted to younger consumers who valued transparency and social responsibility. She suggested reallocating part of the advertising budget towards social media campaigns and forming partnerships with small local creators to rebuild brand trust. The laughter had stopped. One by one, executives leaned forward. She referenced exact numbers from the last quarterly report. She explained how warehouse delays were damaging customer reviews and how simple logistical adjustments could improve delivery times by nearly 20%. She spoke not with arrogance, but with clarity. The CEO's smile slowly faded. When she finished, the room was silent. Not the awkward silence of discomfort, but the heavy silence of realization, the kind that falls when truth enters the room. For the first time, they weren't looking at her uniform. They were seeing her mind. The marketing director cleared his throat and admitted that her analysis was accurate. Another executive nodded, acknowledging that the digital strategy had indeed been neglected. Within minutes, what had started as mockery turned into serious discussion built around her ideas. The CEO stared at her differently now, not with ridicule, but with curiosity. After the meeting, he asked her to stay. Elena expected to be fired. She braced herself for it. Losing this job would mean starting over again, and she wasn't sure she had the strength for another fall. Instead, the CEO asked her about her background. When she told him about her unfinished degree, about studying business before life interrupted, something shifted in his expression. He confessed that he had built his career from nothing too, and perhaps he had forgotten what it felt like to be underestimated. The following week, Elena was offered a position as a junior analyst trainee. The company would sponsor her return to university to complete her degree. It wasn't charity, it was recognition. But the road wasn't easy. Some coworkers whispered that she didn't belong, others questioned her experience. She struggled to balance classes at night with her new responsibilities during the day. There were evenings she cried quietly in her small apartment, overwhelmed and exhausted. Yet every time doubt crept in, she remembered that boardroom. She remembered the laughter, and she remembered the silence that followed her words. Months turned into a year. The company's new digital strategy began to show results. Sales slowly increased. Customer engagement improved. Investors regained confidence, and Elena's name began appearing on internal reports, credited for innovative insights. One afternoon, she stood once again in that same boardroom. But this time she wasn't holding a cleaning cart. She was presenting the quarterly growth analysis to the executive team. The CEO listened carefully, no longer laughing. Elena had not just changed her job title. She had changed the narrative of her life. She proved that intelligence does not disappear because opportunity does. That dreams paused are not dreams destroyed. That sometimes the world laughs before it listens. If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who feels unseen, and subscribe for more stories that remind us of human strength and resilience. And before we end, I have one special request for you. Comment the word respect if you believe no one should ever be judged by their position, because somewhere, in an office, a classroom, or even your own home, there is someone being underestimated today, someone silent, someone capable of more than the world expects, and maybe, just maybe, their moment is coming. Elena's story reminds us that dignity has no uniform, that wisdom can stand quietly in the corner, and that sometimes the greatest lessons come from those we least expect. All it takes is one moment of courage to turn mockery into respect and invisibility into impact.